Welcome back to Movie Rehash. Today, I'm going to explain an action, sci-fi movie from 2008, named Death Race. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. Let's start. The movie starts by showing a race that's almost over between two drivers, Machine Gun Joe and Frankenstein, who wears a mask and has a woman helping him navigate. Frank has some safety mechanisms that stop other cars from hurting him. His navigator informs that all of his defensive weapons have malfunctioned. After this, she jumps out of the car and Joe destroys Frank's, presumably leaving Frankenstein critically wounded, or dead. After this, we see industrial worker, and former car racer named Jensen, struggling to support his family. When the steel mill he works at is closed, he and his fellow angry workers are attacked by the arriving riot police, forcing them to fight back. Then he returns home to his wife, Susie, and their newborn child. When Susie is making dinner, masked bandit suddenly appears from behind. Meanwhile, Jensen realizes something is wrong and he rushes to kitchen, only to find his wife is dead. Then the masked man appears from his behind and sprays chemical on his face and runs away. When he wakes up, he finds the knife in his hand and the police officers are surrounding him and arresting him. Jensen is wrongfully accused of his wife's murder and gets sentenced to 50 years in prison while his newborn child is placed in foster care. On Christmas night, he is taken to a private prison that has 24-hour security to prevent prisoners from escaping. The prison is located on an isolated island in the middle of the sea, and there's only one way in and out. The inmates in this prison are the most dangerous criminals who have committed heinous crimes. One morning, while having breakfast, Jensen is provoked by another prisoner who not only spits on his food but also insults his late wife. The other prisoner doesn't know that he has messed with the wrong person. After the altercation, Jensen is brought before Hennessey, who is a harsh and authoritarian leader that controls the entire prison. In order to turn the prisoners into valuable assets, Hennessey organizes flying car races. The inmates on death row become drivers and race in modified cars to defeat each other. If anyone wins 5 races in a row, they will be pardoned and released from the prison. The track is full of high-quality cameras and the race is broadcasted globally. In the previous race, a masked driver named Frank won 3 races in a row and had super strength. However, in the 4th race, Frank suffered from a mechanical failure and was targeted by his opponents mercilessly. Although he won the race, he died from severe injuries. Hennessey blocks the news of Frank's death to avoid a decrease in ratings and urgently needs a powerful prisoner to replace Frank and continue the competition. Jensen is a suitable candidate for the job, but he is initially hesitant. However, Hennessey's offer is too tempting to refuse, and Jensen will be pardoned as long as he wins the 5th race by pretending to be Frank. Jensen arrives at the workshop, feeling excited after making the deal. He meets the team coach and technician Fatty, and the race car is ready for him. The car has a powerful engine that can generate up to 850 horsepower. To prevent accidents, the car also has nitrogen acceleration and strong racing defense. The front and side of the car are made of 2 cm thick steel plate bulletproof glass, which is made in China. The rear part of the car has a 15 cm thick solid armor. Additionally, the car has smoke bombs and petrol bombs, as well as 2 multi-barrel Gatling machine guns, making it a high-performance vehicle. According to the coach, the flying car race is divided into 3 games. In the first 2 games, the drivers need to kill as many opponents as possible to ensure that they can pass the finish line. The winner of the 3rd game will be considered the real champion. Jensen's main competitors are 5 people, including Chinese-American Green, Jim, former professional racing driver Colt, and Joe. To increase earnings, Hennessey selects hot and beautiful female inmates from the women's prison to act as the racers' navigators. Case, Jensen's navigator, possesses even greater power and has aided Frank on numerous occasions to save the day. When facing Case, Jensen chooses not to conceal his identity and takes the initiative to remove his mask to begin the race. The participants look excited as the lights flash, and the global live broadcast, which over 45 million people have paid to watch, is launched. Jensen quickly takes the lead with a burst of speed, and the rest of the team follows suit. However, the pack quickly catches up, and Jensen loses his position. In 4th place, Case calmly directs Jensen to take a shortcut, allowing him to regain his lead. As the 2nd lap begins, Hennessey activates the sensors, setting off gunfire, smoke bombs, napalm, and traps. Unfortunately, Jensen lacks experience in his first race and fails to activate the weapons, leaving him vulnerable to attack. The enemy behind him begins to fire wildly with Gatling machine guns but proves to be an incompetent driver and is soon overtaken by Green, who is exhilarated at this point. Green focuses on Colt in front of him, who is desperate to avoid being killed and swerves to evade the steel spikes before launching a counterattack. Unfortunately, Green is unable to dodge the instant flat tire, causing his car to lose control and roll over. 14K takes advantage of the opportunity and launches a missile. The car is blown away and crashes straight to the ground, and Green emerges from the wreckage only to be instantly obliterated. On the last lap of the race, Joe appears with a giant Gatling gun, and with Colt's assistance, Jensen's armor is left in tatters. Jensen instructs Case to unload the petrol bomb using the passenger's ejector seat, causing the oil to spurt and cover the entire car. Before Colt can react, Case throws a cigarette lighter, causing the car to burst into flames. Despite a fierce struggle, Jensen manages to maintain his lead and believes he has won, but inadvertently he sees that the provocative gesture made by Jim was hit hard by Jake, and stopped on the side of the road, eventually finishing in the 6th place. The car is riddled with holes, leaving Jensen horrified by the race and vowing not to participate again. However, Hennessey is prepared for this and threatens Jensen with a photo of his child, forcing him to compromise once again. That night, Jensen storms into the workshop in anger and confronts Jim, but is caught off guard and tied up around the neck. Jim prepares to swing a wrench to kill Jensen, but Fatty arrives just in time to distract him. While Jim is distracted, Jensen picks up a steel block and begins to counterattack. Jim proves to be no match for Jensen, who forces him to confess to the murder of his wife. The company's main business is to provide a wide range of products and services to the market. Unfortunately, a prison guard suddenly appears and electrocutes Jensen to save Jim. The second race begins as scheduled, and everyone rushes out from the starting point. Jensen remains calm and drives towards an abandoned workshop, where he threatens to eject Case to uncover a larger conspiracy. It turns out that Case has been working undercover for Hennessey, lurking around Jensen to prevent him from winning the race and keeping him in prison for Hennessey's greater gains. In exchange for his cooperation, Hennessey promises to sign a decree to release Case. Case has no other choice but to cooperate, and Jensen uses nitrous acceleration to return to the racetrack. However, instead of going for the first place, he sets his sights on Jim, his wife's killer. He turns his car around and races towards Jim, firing on all cylinders. Jim starts firing back, but Jensen presses past the shield to activate the smoke grenade, blocking Jim's view and causing him to crash badly. I Ride High survived the crash, and Jensen immediately reverses his car and heads back towards Jim. Meanwhile, Hennessey sends out a deadly killer called the Dreadnought to make the race more exciting. The Dreadnought is equipped with heavy firepower and starts firing at the riders. 2 drivers die under the barrage of shells, and the Dreadnought even has a replenishment device. The 14K team has no choice but to overtake the car and activate the trap, ready to kill Jensen. They plant a bomb on Jensen's racing car, hoping to eliminate him from the race. That night, Jensen reaches out to Joe with a daring plan. The third race is approaching and Hennessey is determined to stop Jensen from winning. She controls the sensor system and assigns all the resources to Joe, who unleashes a barrage of fire on Jensen. Jensen's tail armor is pierced, and he takes a risk by removing the shield. Joe avoids the impact, and then fires a series of rockets, not at Jensen's car, but at the prison wall to blow up a gap. The two of them break out of prison and escape. In reality, Jensen and Joe were just pretending to paralyze Hennessey. Furious, Hennessey detonates the explosives, but the bomb had already been defused by the coach. Jensen drops a spare fuel tank and stops the pursuing police cars on the bridge. The helicopter in the sky is still following them, so Jensen takes the initiative to lure it to the pier and then jumps off the car into the night. It turns out that Case has already obtained a release order and is safe even if he is caught. With Case's help, Jensen and Joe manage to meet up and escape by train. 6 months later, Jensen and Joe resurface in Mexico and open an auto repair shop. Case also arrives shortly after, and Jensen not only gets his kids back but also gains new friends and a new love.